Just back from the ITExpo. Fort Lauderdale. It's the Tech Super Show, also the MSP Expo show. It's in, like I mentioned, Fort Lauderdale in the big convention center, the Broward County Convention Center. It's my fourth year going. I brought the podcast, obviously, this year. I had great interviews, great discussions. I started off with Colin Bunyard, great conversation with him, Dan Gribble as well, Joshua Lieberman, who's one of our past MSP 555 winners, Corey Kirkendoll, Morgan Hines. Great to talk to Morgan. And lastly was Jill Schaffenlaffel. I don't think I pronounced that correctly, Jill. I apologize, but incredible security professional. She used to be with the Department of Defense. The event was, I was mainly there for the great Channelwise, Catherine Rose Coaching Cafe, where I got to talk to different people attending about just general coaching issues. But these are the interviews from that event, and they were great guests, and I love talking with them. Thanks so much for listening and watching.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How did I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
Now, what do you like to cook, Corey?
A little bit of everything, man. Asian, soul, I try a little bit of everything. Italian, you name it, man.
Really?
If I wasn't an MSP, I'd be a chef all day.
Is that right?
100%.
I mean, when I've had an office in Dallas, and the wide variety of food there, but barbecue they do very
Barbecue's cool. I
uniquely.
was actually low and slow in this weekend, man.
low and slow. That's it, right?
Low and slow, right? You got to break down that collagen, man. You got to break it down. Got to get it right.
And you wrap it in aluminum foil or no?
Actually, I actually wrap in butcher paper.
Butcher
versus
paper.
the aluminum foil.
And any butter or anything on the inside?
So it depends, on the ribs. You want a nice little crust on it or something like that. You'll throw some brown sugar with some butter, let it sit in there, let it come out, man. But most of the time, man, it's just if you season it right, let it sit there, and you do the meat right, it'll do you right. It's a long time. It's a long
200
process.
degrees? Well, like a low temperature, right?
Yeah, like somewhere between 210. Just let it just go. I mean, I could do a full brisket, man. It probably takes me about 18 hours of just keeping it straight.
And it just falls apart on the floor.
Falls apart, right?
Oh, man, now
falls
you're getting me
apart.
hungry.
Ribs fall apart, man. Pork butt, chicken, you name it. I mean, if living in Texas, which is cool because I get a chance to get into that grill at least, all the time. I don't think I turn on the oven much at all. It's all outside.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The Pecan Lodge always has that long line.
Yeah, all of the great spots out there. I'm up in McKinney area.
Oh, I know
So you got Hutchins there, which is
Yes.
was voted number one. But it's always a little hole in the wall spots that are down in what we call in the hood, right in the neighborhood. I look at it. If you walk in there and you don't come out smelling like you've been smoked, you probably don't want to eat there.
Do you want to connect with business leaders and engage consumers who take action? The Joey Pinz podcast delivers high-impact conversations to an audience of decision makers, entrepreneurs, and professionals across multiple industries. A fast-growing audience of highly engaged listeners, both B2B and B2C. Millions of listens and views across YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Brands that sponsor us see real engagement, conversations, and brand loyalty. Whether you're looking to sell a service, promote a product, or establish thought leadership, our sponsorships offer premium ad placements, exclusive episode sponsorships, full season branding, and event partnerships. Don't just advertise, become part of the conversation. Visit us at joeypinz.com/sponsor to get started, or email us at sales@joeypinz.com. Joey Pinz Podcast, where thought leaders, brands connect.
So in Austin, my favorite was Black's, what's his first name?
Black's good.
And he opened a place in Dallas there.
I believe so.
Yeah. In that one neighborhood where Pecan Lodge is. I can't think of the name. I absolutely love it. Yeah. And did you cook as a kid?
I get in the kitchen with my grandmother. So I'm one of them unique guys. I like to bake and I like to cook. So it's a little bit everything.
Very different.
Very, very different.
Because bake is this temperature, this distance, whereas cooking is
a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Baking is very precise, right? Yeah. You do that dabbling in the baking side, your stuff will get jacked up.
That's right.
You don't do that dabble over there. Yeah. Make my own sauces, make my own rubs, make it all. Try a little bit of this, try a little bit of that. And I like it. Cooking and MSP work is very similar, where you take nothing, right? You take some raw meat or some chicken or something like that, and you get it together, and you come out with this masterpiece at the end of the day when it's done right? You're looking at what your people who come over to eat. You know what they like. Some of them like it a little bit more rare than they like the other side. So you just kind of walk through it, and I cook for the satisfaction of those who are eating. And so that's my joy, is when I sit back and watch them enjoy the food. That's when I'm at my high. Yeah.
I've really grown to cooking lately. I walk in the kitchen and it's relatively clean.
Yeah.
I start pulling food out. I start feeding people. I start preparing. I start cooking. Clean as you go.
Yep.
And then when everything's done, I walk out of the kitchen and it's just like I came in. There's nothing in my professional life that I get to see a project from beginning to end like that. It's so satisfying. I get to feed these people and I get to just see a project. It's a wonderful feeling.
It is, man. And that's my happy. I call it my happy place.
Yeah.
When I'm in there and they get it going. No people. I don't like people in the kitchen with me.
Right.
I don't need no sous chef. I don't like people in my way. I don't like anything. Now, you come in and wash dishes all you want to, but don't be messing around, right?
Like if you insist, you can chop these carrots.
Yeah,
and I'll give you the thing.
That, right?
You can move that over there.
Don't be stirring nothing in the pots. Don't be lifting nothing up. Don't be trying to tell me what I need to get done. Let me handle this. This is my domain.
Yeah. And the other problem, Corey, is that this is great, and I'll say I forgot what I put in it because I don't go out and get ingredients. I use what we got.
Right.
And I forget how much I put in, and I get we got some of this. Let's see. This is left over. Let's add this. Let's see what happens.
It's that taste thing, right? It's about you sitting there, you sample, let it go, you taste it, and get that taste just right.
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of garlic salt. What you want in there, and just make it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Unseasoned food is the most criminal.
That is the worst. That's why I have a hard time going out to eat out, right? So like tonight, I'm dreading going out to dinner. You like your hopes are up. You like man, get out there and you're like, this could have been a little bit different here, right? It could have been a lot better. So I like and then I'm always deciphering like, okay, what is that? What is that?
Me
taste?
too.
What is that?
Yeah.
What's going on, right? I'm like, okay, all right, I see what you're doing here, and I'll go home try to figure it out. It's like I'm gonna remake that, right? And put my own spice on it. Yeah.
And the problem with going out is that they want you to come back, so they're not using the best of ingredients.
Yeah.
A lot of butter, a lot of cream, a lot of. So you're a Cowboy fan.
You got to bring up the bad stuff.
Well, you're in Dallas. And you mentioned flag football.
Yes, I am.
You mentioned flag football, so I'm going to assume you're a football fan.
I'm a fanatic, right?
Yes.
I'm in the rebuild stage. I have my therapy sessions regularly on that one.
We had an event, Lion Guard do an event in Frisco at their practice facility.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Unbelievable.
Yes.
They had like 8 indoor full football fields
100%.
on turf with like high schools play all their games there.
Yep.
It's absolutely and the where the players are and the classroom settings. I mean, it is just
state of the art.
And outside they have like 3 different grass and turf depending on where they're playing that next week. They change it. It's incredible.
Yeah. They prepare them. I don't know what the challenge is. Somehow it don't translate all the way to game day. I don't know what
rebuilding
happened.
time.
Yeah,
right?
okay, we'll leave it at that. It's been about 30 years of rebuilding. I understand. I'm gonna stick with that.
So when you play flag football with your son, does he like football as well, or is it just flag?
He does. My son is high functional autistic. He's 22 years old, and I'm a very advocate of Special Olympics. So what I go out with him is we play on what I call a unified team. And so it allows me to go out and participate and play. So I'm the oldest dude out there, and them youngsters be like, "Oh, we got this old man," until my muscle memory come back. They be like, "Okay, we got you." But it's fun. Just get out there. I play with them, and we do it. Last year we were at Frisco at the Cowboys facility, and we did gridiron football, and we won the national championship.
Whoa,
for
congratulations.
that. Son got his ring, got his trophy, got everything else, so it was really cool. And then we went out and played in L.A. last summer in the USA flag football. So it was really cool. We were invited out to go play, so we played a lot of football last year.
You know, I noticed the Super Bowl was just a few days ago. They actually had a commercial about playing more flag football, and I think it was women.
Yeah. So it's actually trying to get it to become an Olympic sport to do it. It's actually coming. I think it's in 28 is when it will be. But flag football is
in
huge.
Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
it's going to be huge. It's fun. It gives an opportunity to really show some skills, show that diversity, and show some things, man. And girls really get into it. I mean, there's a lot of leagues throughout the states that are happening all the time.
Wow,
you got to get out there. It's a lot of fun, and they just have a great time doing it.
Because the pro sport is so violent. We all love it. But, I mean, you just see some of those hits.
Yeah.
I'm watching it with my girlfriend. She's like, wow, that must have really hurt. She doesn't watch very often. I said, yeah, these men are tall. They're strong. They're heavy. They're going very fast.
Yeah, when I played football back in high school, back in the late 80s, early 90s, man, it was, I've been a running back. Once I got past the O-line and ran in, the linebackers would try to keep up. But now you look at it, man, you got linemen running, 4.4s trying to catch you. It's
over
like
300 pounds.
Everybody's moving, right? It's like this is a totally different game.
It really is.
Totally different game.
Those athletes are so incredible.
They are very much so.
Like they show some statistics. Like the Philly O-line was like average of like 6'8", like 340 or something like that.
Still running sub 5s, 40s. That's crazy.
It's like a whole different race of people. They're just so big and fast and strong. Because back when we were young, you just had to be big.
Yeah.
Now you've got to be fast. And even though these guys are big, they're still not overweight. Maybe they're overweight, but they're just excellent athletes.
They are. You saw that Worthy for Kansas City when he came in a rookie and had the fastest 40 time ever in his shoes and his uniform from the combine. Has ended up in the Hall of Fame. Comes in as a rookie and immediately gets put in the Hall of Fame because of that. That was pretty cool. And that dude is fast. I think he was like a 4.0 40. It was crazy.
When did you start your MSP?
Back in 2006.
And why would you do such a crazy thing like starting MSP?
I think I just, probably fell, had a concussion, hit my head, and it's like, I'm going to go do this, right? Yeah, I think that's what it was. That's my story. I'm going to stick with that. It was one of those things where, I worked for, IBM, Dell, Cisco, EMC, had all these, things from a big enterprise. And I always wanted to do something different. And so during that process, I was going through getting my MBA, doing certain things. I had to write a project of a business plan, and it came up with a technology support company. It wasn't an MSP because we really didn't know what it was at that time. And so I wrote it. My professors looked at it and said, hey, man, this is actually really good. It's viable. You should go out and do something with that. And so I was like, okay. So I got one customer back in 2006. And I tried my best to not have any more and get rid of that customer. But that customer's still my customer to this day.
Wow.
And it just kept coming. So every time I tried to squash it, it kept growing. So it was viable at that point. I was one of the old school MSPs way back in the day when it was Tiger Paw and ConnectWise, level platforms, all the stuff that we had to really, we had the tools, but we had to know what the tools did. We didn't have all this AI automation stuff like we had today.
Yes.
We were old school. So going through those processes was big. But I always wanted to bring enterprise level support and comfort down to the small businesses. Because, if you look at the U.S., Fortune 100, Fortune 1000, they're big, they're out there, but it's the lifeline of the country is small businesses. And showing them that they can be just as powerful and do things just like everybody else. And they're vulnerable targets, right? They know that. The people out there know that, hey, we run off small businesses. They're not going to invest the money. They don't have the talent. So, hey, why don't I pick off a few of those guys and be okay? That's what happened with Target, right? They hit the little HVAC guy and got the big guy, right?
Yeah, they sure did.
So, those are things we have to go out and take care and protect.
Were you ever fixed price, or were you ever break and fix? Were you?
What was cool is when I saw that, one of the things I did in my business plan is that it said you need to go out there and make sure you have enough capital and enough money when you went out there and started it, whether that was from investments or whatever that was, so that you had the ability to say no. And so you could pick your clientele, because they were very particular about, if you say yes to one, you're saying no to something else. And what happened is, if you don't have that capital or influx of cash to be able to have it and at least stay in the business for at least 6 months to a year, you're going to end up with a client that you probably don't want to be your client, that will take everything away from you. So I had the privilege of just saying, if I didn't have the funds and have the capital and have things to start to be sustained for at least a year, then it probably wasn't going to happen. But I did have that. And it allowed me to go straight to the support and MRR base and go straight to MSP. Didn't do any break fix. Didn't have to do any of those things. Yeah,
good for you. Cool. Good for you. And you were charging by device, by person?
So when we first started, it was all by device. We charge, everything from access point to router to firewall, whatever it is. And we figured it out really quick. It was like, hey, we need to do this on a per user basis. We have one single price. Here's what it is per user. Here's what we go down and do. Because we look at it as, we don't charge you for the infrastructure piece, because if the user doesn't have the infrastructure, they don't work.
Right.
So why don't we figure a way to bundle that all in and say, here's what that user price is from that perspective.
Your brand deserves to be in front of the right audience decision makers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are ready to take action. That's exactly who listens to the Joey Pinz podcast. Thousands of engaged business leaders and consumers tune in every week. Millions of views and listens across YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Sponsors see real impact, higher engagement, brand trust, and conversations. We offer strategic partnerships tailored to your goals, including targeted ad placements, branded guest appearances, multi-episode and event sponsorships. Make your brand part of the conversation. Let's grow together. Visit joeypinz.com/sponsor to explore sponsorship opportunities, or email us at sales@joeypinz.com. The Joey Pinz podcast, where brands and thought leaders connect. So we're here in Fort Lauderdale. It's early February, IT Tech Show, ITExpo, MSP Expo. What are some of your goals here, Corey?
Yeah, just sit down, meet some of the partners that we've talked to, meet with other MSPs. I love the channel, I love the community. I'd love to give back, learn what they're doing, see what they're doing that works, see what we're doing that works, share, swap stories, and just know that, we're there to support each other whenever that in from that perspective. That's really the big thing. And then as I go down there, I met with one of my vendors this morning. He was here, had a chance to see it down, talk with him, and get some one-on-one time on what they're doing, where they're going, and talk about how we're going to help grow my business as well as their business as well, what it look like.
So I'm a former MSP. I sold, and now I work with MSPs. When I talk to them now, Corey, there's three things that keep them up at night. I wonder if this rings true with you. First is security. They're worried about their clients getting attacked. Second is human capital. If they lose some of their best engineers, how they're going to replace, how they're going to get new ones. And third is just growth. With private equity, put everything in it. How are they going to organically grow, to make their company more attractive? Do those three?
100%.
Really?
100%. Then the only one out there, that fourth one is the evolution of technology with AI and things from that perspective, right? And how do you combat the FUD? But 100% growth, the talent, as well as security, for sure.
Yeah. So when I sold my MSP in 2019, security was an issue, but not like it is now.
Yeah. It's crazy today, man. When you sit back and you look at it, I tell everybody, we can protect the network. We can put the right tools in. We can put in the ports closed. We can do everything we want to. But there's just one thing we just haven't been able to fix yet, and that's the human, right? We're going to click.
Yes.
And have that. So we spend a lot of time on education, right? Just really in their face, educating. And we live by that mode. If you see something, say something. Right? It's not about being embarrassed. It's not about shaming you. It's not about anything from that perspective. It just gives us a fighting chance to get ahead, because they're already ahead of us that we don't. But if you see something and don't say anything and you tell me, oh, yeah, last week I saw it. Well, we're probably a little bit too late for that one. Yeah, we're going to have some problems.
You could put all the tools in place you want, but if somebody clicks on a bad email.
Yeah. 100%.
So it's just that digital kind of hygiene. It's got to be promoted. You got to talk to them, and it's, sometimes it looks like American Express. I mean, it looks like Walmart. It looks like Federal. It's just, but you got to look at the email. You got to just slow down a little bit. And it's so bad. I mean, these bad actors should be punished like arsonists, right? They should be punished. It's
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible. Are you part of a peer group at all?
I am.
Where?
Yeah, we said I'm part of MSP Ignite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How long you been there? What has the peer group taught you? Has it been?
Yeah, being an MSP, man, especially being an owner, you've been there. I mean, sometimes it's lonely at the top,
It
right?
is.
And I don't know about you, but none of my employees walk into my office and be like, "Hey, Corey, today don't worry about it. I got payroll. I'm gonna handle that angry customer. Hey, I got this sale over here. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna fire Jack because he ain't been working anything. I'm gonna hire Judy. I'm gonna do all that for you. I don't know. My employees don't do that for me. And the challenge that you have is that without having some support or having what I call that virtual board right there with you from that perspective, you feel like I'm the only one that's going through that situation. And it's kind of like, I liken it to church, right? It's kind of like, hey, somebody's either just coming out of it, about to go into it, in full into it, or may have bypassed it, but everybody's in that phase. But you also have that issue where they all have very similar issues. They have HR issues, they got security issues, they got growth issues, merger and acquisition issues, they got customer issues, they got all of those issues. But listening to how they do it and what they got done, and sit there and say, you know what, I didn't even think about that. Oh, I did think about that. Here's how I may help you, and here's how you can help me. But that's where it's been really good. But it really also helped us start to look at what really matters in an MSP, making sure we understand our numbers, understand the bottom line, understand the things that matters. And I think the biggest thing for us is the accountability piece. Hey, Corey, last quarter you told us that you were getting rid of Jack, John, and Lucy. You're like, yeah, but nobody wants to come to that face-to-face peer group with him, man, where you still haven't hit any of your tasks because, it's finna be, you talk Tom Brady got roasted. You finna get roasted in that meeting, right? And so you behoove yourself to go. The accountability is
the accountability
big.
is incredible. Yeah, because no one holds you as accountable as an owner.
None at all.
Yeah, and I've gone into some of those meetings thinking, oh man, I'm going to hear it now, and I'm going to try to explain, but we used to have the BS flag, right? They throw that's BS.
Yep,
we don't accept that at all. Yeah, it's tough being an MSP.
It's very tough, man. I tell my customer when they call me, and I joke with them. I say, we understand the pain in our business. Nobody calls me up like, you know what, Corey, man, it's 85 degrees, it's sunny outside. I just call to say hello, call to tell you I love you, man. Go play some golf.
That's nice.
I tell them, hey, if my phones are ringing, something is pinging, right? We got some problems going on, right? And so they get it. We're kind of in this, in some cases, a thankless thing. It's like when it works well, it works well. When it goes bad, it goes bad. But it could be a very high stressful situation. But I think if you're upfront and you own that and know what you got in that situation, it works out. And that's where it comes back to the relationship piece. It says, hey, it's not if, it's just when. But we got to plan and we got to prepare, and we're going to walk you through that process, right? But if they call you and you're paranoid and you're freaking out and they freaking out, I mean, there's just no good at the end of the day at that situation. You got to talk them off the ledge.
What can vendors do to be better partners with MSPs?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to really listen to the business model that the MSP have. I think what's happening is a lot of the MSPs, come in there on a month-to-month, they're not in a contract, and I think it's a two-way street. Most MSPs are not business-minded, so they don't get put them in a multi-year contract or where it comes from. And the vendors are saying, hey, as I'm switching, we need to be in a contract because that's where I really have something tangible that says that you are a client of mine from that perspective. So I think educating the MSPs on what that truly is about, that says, hey, as long as you got them under the contract, that's what it is, and then you have some value. But if everybody's on hey, shake my hand, and I got 100 clients and no contracts, I really don't have a business because I don't have anything at the end of the day from that perspective. But I think the main thing is the partner really spending time and understanding the MSP's business, and not just on the 29th or 30th day of the month, you call in and it says, hey, can we sell you something? And don't hear from them for the rest of the time. That's not cool business right there. Yeah,
they have to learn how to be better partners and not try to sell you stuff.
100%. Come call out there. Here's what's going on. How's it going? And really understand the nature of the business. And that's one of the things I love when I was back in the enterprise side is we had technical account managers and we had business account managers. And the technical account managers were cool because they would talk about the technology, keep you abreast of what's going on because things are just changing so fast. And you had the business account manager, and that was the kind of the two-headed monster that kept everything rolling because you had someone talking the business side and someone talking the technical side and making sure they align where you want to go.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Corey, has there been anything in the last month or so you changed your mind on?
Changed my mind on. I think for the most part, I mean, we've had, we looked at some, we were looking to outsource and do some things on our help desk side and say, hey, we want to outsource it. And I've always been against what that looked like. We thought we had a good partner. We want to go down there. It started out good, then it got rough. And so we changed our mind and says, hey, I probably want to bring that back in-house. So that was probably the biggest deal to change mine on is going down. Is finding someone who has the same values and the same mentality as 5K, and we're just not just number crunching from that perspective. That's what it ended up for us. And so once we figured that out, it was probably better to keep that closer to the breast. And then we also felt that because we wasn't in that level 1, in that tier 1, level 2 kind of a situation, we were a little bit too far away from our clients, right? And so that was a tough time. Is the outsource would hear certain things, but that would get lost in translation back to us. And that's just, it's probably better for us to do that from that perspective.
So when you were looking at that solution to outsource your help desk, did they give you promises that they couldn't fulfill? Did they manage it correctly? Is it partly your fault because you thought they were going to do things?
I think it was a little bit of both. I think at the end of the day, it's a hard deal to outsource and to hold up to that piece because I don't care any situation. It was just keeping the level of competency and expertise and where it came from and try to find that balance was always tough. So I'd put it, we probably shared 50-50 on the blame side on saying, hey, here's what's up. No matter what expectations, whether it was good documentation or good case notes or here's what we're going to do. And I think they probably took it on the side of overly being friendly to be a good support versus actually solving the case, right? Just because you call me 3 times just to make sure I'm there and just give me an update, but without the true update, it's just you're bothering me at the end of the day. So I think that's what ended up happening from our perspective. And we've had a couple of misfires like that, so we brought it back in house on that perspective.
Yeah, but you've been around a long time, and so it's keeping employees happy, keeping clients happy. It's tough.
It is very tough. It's very tough, and that's the thing of saying, trying to pay attention and listen and be open, being transparent as you possibly can. We always tell our employees that we don't expect them to be around more than 3-4 years because they change and where you want to go.
Sure.
And all we do is hey, just give us your best, do what you got to get done, give us a notice, and hey, we wish you well and wherever you want to get done. And just follow through that process.
Yeah, if you're just transparent, everybody understands each other. There's no, you're level setting.
100%.
So I started my MSP actually in the 90s. I'm a little older than you, and I was working way too hard, 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to that. And I was putting my health in the back seat, Corey. And next thing I know, I'm in front of my doctor. I'm at 340 pounds.
Wow.
I'm 205 now.
Wow.
I'm a 32-inch waist. I was 46-inch waist, 340. She says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was just born. Scared me to death. Driving home, what have I done? This is me. Nobody's to blame. It's my pie hole. I did this. So spent the next 6-7 months, lost 130 pounds, kept it off. You can't look at it as a finishing line. A lot of people,
it's lifetime
changes. So when I tell this story, people always say, what's the secret? What'd you do? And there's no secret, Corey. Discipline. That's how I lost it. I got motivation. I got routine, willpower, etc. How does discipline play a role in your life?
Man, you're like a brother from another mother, man. I did the same deal. I actually had that same story, man.
You're kidding me. How heavy were you?
I was my heaviest. I was at 298.
Wow.
So I'm now down to about 212.
Wow.
And that happened over the same course, man. I walked into my doctor. I looked at him. I was like, yo, he's like, yeah, man, whatever you're doing, you need to change it.
Wow.
And so what's funny is a year later, I walk in there. I'm having my physical where it comes from. My doctor walks right past me.
Didn't recognize you.
He stopped. And he turned around. He's like, oh. And I was like, wow. And that's exactly it. I had to come to a place to say, I spent a long time building this up, doing whatever it is, and I had my priorities in the wrong spot. Right. I needed to focus back on me, so I won't be here to enjoy it. Right. Luckily, my daughter, she's 17, she's 18 now. She graduates this year. Been able to see all 3 of my kids graduate, do their thing, and actually see that. But I want to be able to enjoy that. I have a 9-year-old granddaughter I want to spend time with and things from that perspective. I mean, when I went out to go play flag football, the first game with my son, and I took off running, And I'm not lying. By 10 yards, man, I thought I was dying. Like, this is not happening, right? My body's like, hey, what are you doing? And so I was like, at that point in time, I was like, if I want to actively play with this kid, I got to go and shed these pounds. So that was my motivation as well. And I play with, they're all 17 to 32-year-old special need kids on the Special Olympics side. And so you talk about competition. Man, those boys be whooping me butt up, man. And they keep me out there. And they make sure that, hey, I'm out there playing, I'm active, and we're doing things. But it's been really cool to participate with them, man. And they saw the progress, man. I went from being old man to superstar to whatever it is. They just keep rolling with it, man. But, having them watch and give me that pat on the back. And then I think the biggest thing is when I'm out there with my son, he's cool because he said, that's my dad. Yeah. He's like, that's my dad out there with me, man. And I get to, and I know how LeBron felt when he had his son on the court with him, right? Yes. I'm out there in the trenches with my son, and that's what's up from that perspective.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you're coaching, special needs like that, is it a different kind of coaching?
No, So I'm actually fly back tomorrow because we have a basketball tournament coming up the weekend after next, and I coach his basketball team. My son for the longest time would not play any sports. Right? I remember when I coached him in soccer. I'm a dad. I want to coach soccer. I'm all good, man. He goes out there. This kid did not want to run, did not want to move, but he psyched me out every game. And he come out, he looking good. Dad, I'm going to play today. I'm like, yes. Got out there, stood in the middle of the field, did not move. Like, I'm not playing. I was like, I'm going to kill this kid out here, right? All of a sudden, man, probably when he hit about 17, 18, he wanted, and now he's playing bocce, bowling, soccer, powerlifting. He's doing everything, right?
Wow.
And so I coach him on the basketball team. But one of the cool part is teaching them that it's not all about winning all the time. It's about you respecting the game, respecting each other, having fun, and that's what we do. We get out there and we have a lot of fun, right? Whether we win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. We're gonna go out there and have some fun. It's about the right attitude and lifting each other up from that perspective. So that's really what we spend a lot of time on. When I took over the basketball team a couple of years ago, everybody's like, man, these guys, they got very competitive. They would get kind of out of hand. And I said, no, we're gonna change that. I always remember the song, act like you've been here before, right? And no matter what, treat everybody with respect, get out there and let's go have some fun. And that's what it's all about. So we bring other teams in to scrimmage. We'll have a tournament. We'll get what we got to get done. And then when we're one man down and want to run full court, I'm out there running full court with them, right? And they're clowning on me and I'm clowning on them.
Yeah.
And one of the things I always tell them, I was like, the other night, my son loves to shoot 3-pointers and the other guys, I said, y'all are allergic to down low, right? I said, the next person who shoots this 3-pointer, they're going to run, right? So I bring them down low and my son shoots and he loves to keep his hand up and try to pose. And I tell them all, I said, God, do y'all see ESPN in here? Then why y'all acting like that? Y'all are not gonna be on ESPN tonight and not gonna have no highlights so tonight. Funny. And they just said, "Oh, coach, come on, man." I was like, "I'm just telling you."
Looking for a powerful way to reach business leaders and engage consumers? The Joey Pinz podcast connects brands like yours with an audience that listens, engages, and takes action. High impact exposure with a fast growing loyal audience. Millions of views and listens across major platforms. Sponsors see increased brand awareness, trust, and conversations. We make sponsorships simple and effective with custom ad placements that fit your brand, deep audience engagement through authentic conversations, long-term exposure across podcast platforms and social media. Don't miss the opportunity to connect with your ideal customers. Visit joeypinz.com/sponsor to secure your sponsorship today. Or you can email us at sales@joeypinz.com. The Joey Pinz podcast, where conversations drive results.
What motivates you, Corey?
Man, I just like having fun, man. I like loving life to the fullest, man. And just, getting out there and seeing other people doing better, right? I love the fact from, looking at leaders, right? If you call yourself a leader and you look back and nobody's following you, then you're not much of a leader.
Right.
And it's all about who I can pull up behind me and what we're doing. So I spend a lot of time working with other MSPs, other minority MSPs. I do a podcast on our own with, MSP Unplugged to actually talk about MSPs, about where they are. Coming down, it's three of us. It's Paco, LeBron, and Rick, and myself, and we just sit down and talk about MSPs and where we're struggling. We're all at very different sizes, but it's really there to lift the hand up and say, look, we're doing it. You can do it. We're here to help and try to change those mentalities. I'm always out there reaching back. And like I was telling others this morning, I said, I believe that when one MSP coughs, we all catch the cold. So it's best to make sure that we're all immune and doing the right things and doing things together and support each other in that situation. And I think that's the key part that we have to make sure what's happening. And I love it. Like when we one succeed, we all succeed.
Yeah.
Right? And you've been an MSP. You've had clients from another MSP you get there, right? And it's kind of like a breakup. You can't do nothing for like 6 months to a year because the last MSP made all the promises, made everything that happened, never fulfilled anything. And I'm always in saying, well, that's why you're with me now. You're not with that guy anymore. So you got to make those changes. So why don't we all get on the same page, do the right thing, make sure it's happening. If they decide to transition, great. People move on and things from that perspective. But let's make sure we do what's right in the industry because it's hard for the next MSP to come in or the one after that to come in, or even from that perspective because they've either been burnt, they don't want to be part with it, and it's just an unnecessary stress that we all don't need.
Very true. Very true. We're all one big community, aren't we?
We are, for sure.
Corey, thank you so much for your time. Anybody listening, watching, they want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, just reach out to me. You can reach me out to me with LinkedIn. I'm always there. It's Corey Kirkendoll. Please look up. And then also look at us at 5K Technical Services. That's www.5ktech.com. Always looking to lift up a helping hand. We're here to help. And I appreciate the time today.
5ktech.com. Corey, I appreciate you so much. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.